My name's Adrian Moore and I am Professor of Philosophy at the University of Oxford. Welcome to my exp. It looks as if the great scientific discoveries of the 17th century, and in particular Isaac Newton's scientific discoveries, had shown that there's no such thing as free will. But actually that was not Kant's pessimistic conclusion. Kant thought that despite all of this, it was possible for us to acknowledge exercises of free will and to make sense of the idea that we were free agents. So how did Kant manage to square this circle? Well, to understand this, to understand Kant's reconciling project here, we have to go back to the very basic structure of his philosophical system. And the basic structure of his philosophical system can be understood in terms of a popular metaphor that's often used to characterize that system. Kant's view was that each of us carries around with us something like a metaphorical pair of spectacles through which we view things. And because we view things through these spectacles, we're only ever aware of appearances. We're not aware of what things are really like in themselves beyond the spectacles. We can't do with these metaphorical spectacles what we can do with a literal pair of spectacles, which is to take them off and look at things directly. There's no such process in the case of the metaphorical spectacles. So Kant is working with a very profound and very important distinction between how things appear through the spectacles and how they really are in themselves. It's part of Kant's picture that we can't know anything about how things are in themselves. We can't take our spectacles off and look directly at reality. So he's left room for the possibility of freedom without actually having conclusively established that that possibility is realized. Nevertheless, this is supremely important for Kant. And the reason that it's important is that it's very intimately tied to what he sees as the most fundamental questions of life. And the most fundamental questions of life are questions about how we should conduct ourselves, how we should live, what counts as doing the right thing, what counts as doing the wrong thing, the questions of morality. These are the really important questions, not just for philosophers, but for all of us. And none of these questions would make sense unless we were free agents. There's no point in even contemplating what we should or should not do if we have no control over what we do, if we have no choice about what we do. These are questions that only make sense on the assumption that we're free agents. So it was extremely important for Kant that he should leave room for the possibility that we are free agents. And it's extremely important for him that he's been able to carry through his reconciling project in the way that he has. Kant thinks that we can rest content with what each of us intuitively thinks anyway, which is that there is a difference between right and wrong. There is such a thing as acting morally as opposed to immorally. But now, of course, the question is, okay, how do we tell what counts as the right thing to do? How do we determine how we should live on the assumption that we have free will and are in control of how we should live? And it was Kant's view, Kant's very distinctive view, that we could answer these fundamental questions about how to live in purely rational terms. A sheer exercise of reason is able to distinguish between what counts as the right thing to do and what counts as the wrong thing to do.